Animated logo for Southwest Wisconsin Technical College appears, glowing orange and blue.
Madeline, can you, grab right there for me? Nice and gentle.
A monitor displays a close-up internal view of a surgical procedure on a training mannequin, showing a laparoscopic tool manipulating orange and purple simulated organs.
So that would be our large intestine.
A title card appears, Surgical Technology, in white text on a blue background with a yellow and white diagonal stripe. On the right, surgical instruments are laid out on a blue sterile cloth. The Southwest Wisconsin Technical College logo is in the bottom right. An instructor, a woman with glasses and her hair tied back, wearing a beige cardigan and a pink shirt, stands next to a student in blue surgical scrubs, a mask, and a hairnet. They are in a simulated operating room with surgical tools on a blue draped table.
Students are learning how to be an entry-level professional in the surgical technology realm of the hospital.
The instructor gestures to two students in surgical scrubs, masks, and hairnets, positioned on each side of a blue draped surgical table with instruments. A low-angle shot shows them working on a surgical mannequin under bright operating room lights. Surgical instruments, including scissors, clamps, forceps, and a syringe, are laid out on a blue sterile cloth. The instructor stands in the center of the simulated operating room, facing the camera, with surgical lights above. A yellow graphic overlay appears at the bottom with her name and title, Rachel Huber, Surgical Technology Program Director/Instructor.
They are learning instrumentation.
Two students in surgical attire practice gowning and gloving in the simulated operating room. One helps the other tie their surgical gown.
They're learning how to do a surgical scrub, gown and glove themselves along with others.
The instructor hands a red plastic tray to a student across a blue draped surgical table. The student, wearing surgical scrubs, mask, and gloves, takes the tray.
With that, they're learning how to open an operating room up and maintain that sterility.
A low-angle shot shows two students in surgical attire working on a surgical mannequin under bright operating room lights, with instruments on the table. One student passes a surgical instrument to another over a blue draped mannequin, illuminated by bright light. The instructor observes two students performing a simulated laparoscopic surgery on a mannequin. One manipulates a laparoscopic tool while looking at a monitor displaying the internal view.
They're also learning how to pass the instruments, be a vital team member within the department and within the actual operating room because there's a lot of moving pieces.
Close-up of a student passing a small surgical instrument to another student over a blue draped mannequin, illuminated by bright light. A student, a woman with blonde hair tied back, wearing a blue knitted sweater, stands in the simulated operating room, facing the camera. A blue graphic overlay appears at the bottom with her name and title, Ariel O'Cab, Surgical Technology Student.
We've learned quite a bit in our few weeks here already.
The instructor opens a box of medical supplies while two students in surgical attire stand behind a blue draped table, practicing gowning and gloving.
We've learned sterile dressing, donning and doffing our sterile surgical attire.
Ariel Ochab gestures towards the surgical instruments laid out on the table.
We have learned a lot of instruments already, just starting out as well.
Two students in surgical attire, wearing masks and hairnets, practice passing a surgical instrument. In the background, two human skeletons hang on a wall.
And not only are we learning about the OR equipment and everything in the OR room, we are learning how to succeed in the surgical tech field.
Close-up of a student passing a surgical instrument to another student, who takes it with gloved hands, illuminated by a bright light. The instructor observes two students performing simulated laparoscopic surgery on a mannequin. One manipulates a laparoscopic tool, while the other watches the monitor. The instructor stands in the center of the simulated operating room, facing the camera, with surgical lights above. The Southwest Wisconsin Technical College logo is in the bottom right.
So they are in charge of making sure that the instruments are sterilized to decrease infection. They're the first ones in the operating room setting everything up for the surgeon. So they're setting up the back table, they're putting up the right instruments, making sure that we have the correct equipment.
Close-up of gloved hands using surgical tools to make an incision on a simulated body part. A retractor holds the skin open.
Not only are they setting up though, they work hand in hand during the actual surgery.
Two students in surgical attire practice passing a surgical instrument over a blue draped mannequin.
They're passing instrumentation, they're holding retractors, they're helping suture towards the end of the case. Just making sure that everything is running smoothly for the best patient care.
Close-up of gloved hands, using surgical tools to suture a simulated incision. Two students in surgical attire work on a mannequin, one holding a suction tool and the other holding gauze, with the instructor visible in the background. Ariel Ochub stands in the simulated operating room, facing the camera. The Southwest Wisconsin Technical College logo is in the bottom right.
It is amazing what our surgeons can do. They are basically the mechanic of the human body, and I think it's very rewarding to be a part of that and helping with patient care, regardless if it's general surgery, emergencies.
The instructor gestures towards a student while another student works on a mannequin. A whiteboard in the background shows surgical notes and counts.
We have a lot of job opportunity in Southwest Wisconsin or even in our region, including Iowa and Illinois.
Close-up of a whiteboard with handwritten notes. Counts, PT name, Ramston, Holly, procedure, right foot, 5th digit toe amputation, allergies, NKA, fire risk, 3, and lists of surgical items like laps, Ratex, blade, hypo, suture, booby tip, stapler. The instructor gestures towards a student, while another student works on a mannequin. Close-up of a student passing a surgical instrument to another student, who takes it with gloved hands. The instructor observes two students performing simulated laparoscopic surgery on a mannequin. One manipulates a laparoscopic tool while the other watches the monitor.
I love that we offer the program here.
Two students in surgical attire practice passing surgical instruments. One hands a tool to the other, who then hands back a different tool.
It's very needed in Southwest Wisconsin. Our job placement is wonderful.
A student in surgical attire hands a small tool to another student, who places it in a red plastic tray.
All of our students that are graduating have all found jobs in our local region close to home.
Close-up of gloved hands using a scalpel to make an incision on a simulated body part. The instructor demonstrates how to use a laparoscopic tool to two students. One holds the tool, and the other watches the monitor.
If the surgeon's hands are in, the surgical tech's hands are in. It's a very hands-on job.
Two students in surgical attire work on a mannequin. One holds a light source over the surgical area, and the other watches.
Anticipation and organization are key.
The instructor demonstrates how to use a laparoscopic tool to two students. One holds the tool, and the other watches the monitor. Close-up of gloved hands manipulating a laparoscopic tool. The Southwest Wisconsin Technical College logo is in the bottom right.
It's a great opportunity for our students, and I love that we can offer this here at Southwest Tech.
A monitor displays a close-up internal view of a surgical procedure on a training mannequin, showing a laparoscopic tool manipulating orange and purple simulated organs.
Ariel, you can push your hands in to get a closer look, but we don't want to get too close.
Animated logo for Southwest Wisconsin Technical College appears, glowing orange and blue.